Westmoreland Community Connections is a presentation of the Westmoreland Drug and Alcohol Commission.
Welcome to Westmoreland Community Connections, a look at issues and happenings on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. Here now is your host, Chad Amond, President and CEO of the Westmoreland County Chamber of Commerce.
Hello and welcome to Westmoreland Community Connections. I'm your host, President and CEO of the Westmoreland County Chamber of Commerce, Chad Amond. We're delighted today to have Bob Tupper. Bob is a S.C.O.R.E mentor. S.C.O.R.E of Westmoreland is an organization that helps businesses. Bob, tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and your background. And I understand you worked for Westinghouse, right?
Well, good morning. Yes, I worked for Westinghouse for almost 40 years. I came to Western Pennsylvania in 1967 and kind of call Western Pennsylvania my home now.
Where was home before Western Pennsylvania?
Well, I was up and down the East Coast. I was went to high school on Long Island, went to the University of Maryland and got my degree in mechanical engineering. And Westinghouse was hiring, and nuclear engineering. Nuclear energy looked like an up-and-coming field, so I've been here ever since.
So you were an East Coast resident, and you moved to Western Pennsylvania for Westinghouse, and you spent your career at Westinghouse? Most of it, yes. Okay.
I retired a couple times, and it didn't take, so other than maybe 2 years, probably my entire career at Westinghouse.
We see that sometimes, you know. Some people just can't retire, right? They just they say that they want to retire, but then they just keep on working, right?
Well, it takes practice, and you leave a lot of experience behind when you do that. So,
well, you obviously have a lot of experience, and that's probably one of the strong points of S.C.O.R.E. S.C.O.R.E used to be, as I understand, it stood for the Service Corps of Retired Executives, but that's changed a little bit, right?
Now we use primarily S.C.O.R.E because we have a lot of people that are starting businesses that are very young, and there's generation gaps that we have to address. Social media is a big issue. We have, as part of our mentor staff, a teacher at St. Vincent who actually teaches courses in social media, and she's available to co-counsel with us, and we do our best to keep up with social media, and it's probably the most difficult challenge we have right now.
Well, for those listeners that maybe are not familiar with S.C.O.R.E, what is the primary mission of S.C.O.R.E? What is the thing that you try to do the most?
Well, we have several missions. One is to help people start a business, including putting together business plans, identifying the market, challenging their ideas to see if they can be commercialized. The second thing we do is help businesses grow. If they're not growing, they're losing ground, and they have to make adaptations to market changes, customer changes, and things like that. So periodically, they should be reevaluating how they advertise, how they expend their resources, and that type of thing. We can come in and provide a third-party evaluation and make suggestions for improvement or changes in how they use their resources.
So S.C.O.R.E is basically more of like a business consultant in some ways, right?
Basically, yes. It's all confidential. Other people that do this, the universities do this on their own. Seton Hill has a program. Small Business Administration does provide this type of assistance. But I think what we do very well is mentor one-on-one, and not exactly one-on-one, but we'll put together a team if that's warranted to look at finances, advertising, or utilization of resources again. So,
Bob, one of the things probably that S.C.O.R.E is most helpful with a small business or a launching entrepreneur is that you probably give them some very upfront advice, right? You may probably one of the things that family and friends always say, "Oh, your business is great. You're looking great. You're doing well." But given the experience that many of the S.C.O.R.E members have, they probably will be able to sit down and say, here's some things you need to work on.
That's true. We have a lot of people want to take their hobbies into a business climate and try and make money at it. We sit down with them up front and we'll talk to them on the phone or via email or face-to-face. I've had a lot of meetings now at Panera Bread or other offices at St. Vincent.
Yeah.
But telling them what they have to do to get a license, put together a business plan, and frankly, how much time they're going to have to devote to doing all of this over a reasonable time period. A lot of them back out. They decide maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I should keep my job and just be happy with the W-2.
Yeah.
That to me is a success, although it's not starting a new business. It's keeping some people from making a big mistake.
Right.
Other times, a big problem is putting together a business plan and making sure that there's resources available to go through the startup period. Developing a 3-year business plan, identifying all the expenses on a month-to-month basis is difficult, and a lot of people are very good at what they do, like painting or cooking, or bricklaying. They're not very good at putting together numbers.
Right.
We had one client who was an expert at carpentry. He refinished furniture, but he was not sure how to charge people, and he had more business than he could handle, but he was struggling financially.
Mm-hmm.
So we did the analysis and showed him how much he needed to charge his customers, how much he needed to make on an hour basis. This gave him the confidence to up his prices, be competitive, and be happy that he was making what he thought was a good living.
You're listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. We're talking with Bob Tupper. Bob is a mentor of S.C.O.R.E of Westmoreland. S.C.O.R.E of Westmoreland is an organization that helps upcoming entrepreneurs and businesses to develop and grow. Bob, talk about a little bit more about the connection with S.C.O.R.E and the Small Business Administration. Is S.C.O.R.E funded through the Small Business Administration?
We do get funded from the federal government through the Small Business Administration. There is a line item in the budget. We also get funding from local nonprofit organizations like the Mellon Foundation, and we write grants. We have somebody that's very good at that, and that gives us enough money to advertise, to let people know that we're out there to help, and that's one of our main focuses is how do we reach people and let them know we're available.
Well, one of those ways that you reach people are through workshops, right?
Workshops, yes, they're available. We've had workshops on financial considerations. A big issue is cash flow, understanding that when you don't have cash, you're out of business. It happens, and people have folded because of lack of cash, not because of lack of business. That is a big consideration.
Well, when you talk about those workshops, and I think that there is also a workshop that you host from time to time, is just, are you curious about starting a business? It's like sort of the launch workshop. In your opinion, and having, how long have you been with S.C.O.R.E? How long have you been?
I'm new, but I found out I'm probably average. I'm only there 3 years. A lot of our members have been there for 10 or 15.
Okay.
And, we face a problem with retirees wanting to leave the area. They don't like the winters or something like that. So,
well, we're taping this show, so the listeners may not be experiencing the snow whenever they're listening to this show because we're taping it now. But I can understand that full well. This past couple of days were -4 and it's snowing now. So I don't know that I disagree with some of those retirees.
Well, we have snowbirds too that come back in the spring and are willing to contribute.
Right.
But we have an ongoing effort to recruit new members as well. People that have had a lot of experience in different areas. We have doctors, we have ministers, we have engineers, we have accountants, and we have lawyers. We can put together a team for any specific business need, depending on what we think will help the client. And I was part of a team that helped the little carry-out restaurant in the Latrobe Shopping Center called French Express.
Oh, right.
It's one of our success stories. It took maybe 1 year to actually get it together. A lot of work by the owners of the business. We felt like we contributed along the way, helped them put together their business plan, reviewed their business plan, made sure they were ready to go to the banks when they wanted to apply for a loan. And then we provide ongoing support now. They've been in business. They just celebrated their first year anniversary.
Yeah.
So that was, it was a treat for us. And my wife is one of their favorite customers now.
Oh, right.
Every time I go to Latrobe, stop at French Express and pick
well,
up
that's down.
something for
That's
dinner.
down in the Dunham's Plaza, correct?
Right. It's
Where
right
Dunham's
next to the Rite Aid Shopping Center.
Right. Well, having been with S.C.O.R.E for at least 3 years, in your opinion, what are the most valuable workshops that someone, somebody's driving down the road today and they're listening to this show and they're saying, I was thinking about starting a business. What workshop should they attend?
We have basic business workshop. It goes through the life cycle of a business, starting from scratch. Do you have a plan? Have you evaluated your customers? We don't have any schedule right now because National is also putting on quite an effort now to sponsor these workshops, and they're available online. So given the conditions outside, I think a lot of people are choosing to take these workshops in their comfort of their own house.
Right,
So
right.
we'll schedule workshops again when the weather gets a little bit better. We'll go through different steps of a business cycle, and startup is the first one.
Well, isn't that one of the values of today's technology environment is, you can watch the stuff online, but it still matters whenever you want to sit down face to face and get the body language from somebody that has the experience, whether it's the lawyer or the doctor or the physician or the mechanical engineer or whatever it is. That probably matters as well, right?
I think the feedback part of the face-to-face is very valuable. People can make a decision based on what we tell them. Am I cut out for this? Is my time period realistic? I'm not going to do this in 1 month as I thought. It's going to take me a year, and it may take me 2 years. I need the resources to live while I'm starting my business. And there's a lot of considerations people don't really get unless they're having this face-to-face conversation. But the web seminars are helpful. At least they ask the right questions when they get to a face-to-face situation.
Bob, tell me and the listeners, how would someone, if there's a retiree out there or somebody that's says, hey, I just want to give back to this business community, and I'm 25 or 30 years old, and I want to help to consult with businesses. Maybe I know a lot about social media advertising, or maybe I know a lot about web development. How do they get involved with S.C.O.R.E?
We have a website, Westmoreland.S.C.O.R.E.organization, that has a lot of our information. We have templates in there for different type business plans and advertising plans. That site gives a lot of contact information. You can also visit our office. We have, in St. Vincent's, we have an office that's staff, not full-time, but there's phone numbers there. If you leave a message or an email, we'll get back to you within a day. And if you're volunteering to be a new member, we'll invite you to a meeting. If you really want to go through with it, there's training courses that the National provides online. We have ethics training every year. We have, before we let you mentor one-on-one, we send you out with experienced mentors. And after 2 or 3 interviews and sessions with our clients, then you're eligible to go out and help people on your own. I think the first contact with a client, either through email or telephone, gives you an idea of the effort involved, the time scale involved, and the amount of team members that you have to get involved. If you have to have somebody that's experienced with finances or getting a loan, you might ask one of the bankers in our group to come and sit in a session, because they can help put together a business plan. And they can review the business plan at some point and say, yes, this is ready. You can have a good chance of getting a loan based on this plan, based on how much money you want to put into it, and based on the fact the bank's convinced now it's going to get its money back.
Right.
That's important for the banks.
Well, yeah, that's right. Well, it's important for the investors too. We're talking with Bob Tupper from S.C.O.R.E of Westmoreland. You're listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. We'll be right back after these messages.
This is Westmoreland Community Connections on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. If you have a suggestion for a topic, or if your nonprofit organization would like to be featured on this program, call us during regular business hours at 724-216-1200.
Westmoreland Community Connections is a presentation of the Westmoreland Drug and Alcohol Commission.
Welcome back. You're listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. I'm your host, Chad Amond, President and CEO of the Westmoreland County Chamber of Commerce. We're talking with Bob Tupper. Bob is a mentor for S.C.O.R.E of Westmoreland. S.C.O.R.E of Westmoreland is an organization that is under the umbrella of the Small Business Administration from the federal government and works out of St. Vincent College here in Westmoreland County to advise and help to make businesses that are local grow and develop. Bob, before we left, we were talking a little bit about the volunteers, but I guess ultimately the bottom line is what kind of impact does S.C.O.R.E have on our business community here in Westmoreland County?
We have several success stories in the county, as I mentioned before. French Express is one of them. Walker's Pet Hotel is another. Carpenter Technologies, I think, is a business that we help grow. They're in the process of relocating to a bigger facility now. There's several examples like this, and over the past 10 years, I think, nationally, there's almost 10,000 volunteers in this organization. They've created over 50,000 jobs. A lot of them are minority-owned. A lot of them are women-owned. So for a small business to get started, S.C.O.R.E has been an outstanding resource for the country and the community.
And you talk about nationally, S.C.O.R.E of Westmoreland, right here in our community, won a national award. Was it 2017?
16, I'm sorry.
2016.
But we get rated on a number of workshops we have, the attendees, and other events that we do to help the community, including sessions, monitoring sessions. And our activity level was very high last year, and we did get an award of the best in the district. We're all very proud of that.
Well, you should be. Given the experience that all of the volunteers that work with S.C.O.R.E have, what do you see as the most difficult thing for a small business to do when launching? And, how does S.C.O.R.E help with that?
It's having an idea of how to make a business is something that people come in with. Putting that in terms of how do we make money at it is another. Mm-hmm. Identifying the expenses that it takes to start this business is something that's very difficult because it's got to be spread over a period of time. You're going to have licensing fees. If you're going to move into a building and actually have a storefront, you have additional fees and real estate agents and leases to deal with. And then if you're going to hire somebody on top of that to stand at the counter and collect the money, it's all of a sudden you're the chief financial officer, you're the human resource manager, You have a lot of new responsibilities that you never had before when you were just doing your hobby, basically.
And you're still taking the trash out on Monday morning, right?
Absolutely. And feeding your wife and children.
Yeah, that's right. So, well, do you the S.C.O.R.E volunteers, the men and women that volunteer with S.C.O.R.E, do you ever feel like you're on that panel of the Shark Tank? I mean, I watch that show all the time, and some of the folks come in and they have outrageous ideas. I mean, they're really cool ideas, but you're talking to a panel of four or five great entrepreneurs, and they say, "Hey, here's what the flaw is with your business." Do you ever get that sense?
Oh, that's funny you should bring that up. My wife watches Shark Tank religiously, and she said, if you're going to be a mentor at S.C.O.R.E, you should be in here and getting this training. But we do identify things that are hurdles in the path of somebody that wants to get started. Either the lack of finances, that's a big one. If you're going to go for a bank loan, you have to understand that banks want you to have some skin in the game, basically. And, you can't go in there with an empty checkbook. You have to have some asset or some collateral for that loan, and give them confidence that they have you have as much stake as they do, or more.
Right.
So, getting people to just be a little bit more realistic about what their schedule might be, and how much they can afford to put into the business before it starts bringing money in. Right. It's probably the most difficult thing.
Because that collateral might be your house, right?
Absolutely. And that's, in some cases, all they have.
Right. Well, we're talking about the finances. How much does it cost for a startup business to participate with S.C.O.R.E?
Our services are free. We volunteer. We don't get paid. We donate our time, and basically, we'll work on whatever schedule is convenient for the client. So it's really at no cost consulting service.
You're listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. We're talking with Bob Tupper. Bob is a mentor with S.C.O.R.E of Westmoreland. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about S.C.O.R.E, visit him online at westmoreland.score.org. That's westmoreland.org. westmoreland.score.org. I guess I'm stuttering a little bit here this morning as we're taping this, Bob, but I guarantee you, one of the groups that I know that don't stutter is the group of volunteers. I mean, I've met a number of the volunteers. I know that we have advertisers, we have attorneys, we have healthcare professionals. We have mechanical engineers. What was your background? Mechanical engineering, right? Or
at Westinghouse, I was very lucky. Every 2 years, it seemed I had a new job and went through project management, and eventually, I started out writing computer code. That's probably the worst part. But I finished at the Westinghouse Waltz Mill site as a manager of the quality assurance department.
Yeah.
And that was managing people brought a new dimension into my life as well.
Right. Well, how many volunteers are in the S.C.O.R.E program here in Westmoreland?
We have 30 volunteers approximately. I think that constitutes about 1,000 hours of experience that we can bring to bear on any specific problem. And as I mentioned before, we are very anxious to have new members.
So if somebody is sitting out there and they thinking, well, maybe this would be a fit for me. How do they go through that process of becoming a S.C.O.R.E volunteer? I mean, is there training involved? Do they just sign up and start, or how does it go?
We get a lot of help from the national in this case. We have a national website, S.C.O.R.E.organization. They have training materials, and they set minimum training requirements. Every year we have to go through ethics training and renew our pledge to maintain customer confidentiality, not to take advantage of our our situation, knowing this confidential information, and we don't have a tip jar in the corner. Basically, the National has a lot of resources and templates that we can use, and it's been a very helpful thing. If you are interested in looking further beyond the national description of what S.C.O.R.E does and what the mission is, you can look at the local website for the county. It's got it's got the local information and contact phone numbers, and we'll do everything we can to encourage you to keep going and take the training required to be a mentor.
And that website again is westmoreland.score.org, or you can give the office a call at 724-539-7505. That's 724-539-7505. Well, let's go to the other side of the conversation. How does an upcoming entrepreneur or maybe somebody that has owned a business for 5, 10, 15 years is struggling right now and they need to get some advice? How do those entrepreneurs and those business owners go through the process?
It's very prominently displayed on both the national and the local website. Find a mentor, and a form you can fill out. You can also look at people that are available for mentoring in your area and with the experience that you need. So if you need somebody that's specifically going to help you with banking, you can look at resumes of mentors online and say, yes, this guy has got the background that I need to help me get the bank loan that I need. Or this guy's, he's got human resources.
Right.
Perhaps he can help me with this problem employee that I have. So all that information's online. I have my own resume online. I have a picture online so people can decide whether I look trustworthy or not. So,
well, I will assure the listeners that are listening right now, Bob is definitely trustworthy. Bob, I have to say it from my role with the chamber that I have seen over the years a number of businesses, a number of members have met S.C.O.R.E volunteers at chamber events, and they have interacted with them. And they have turned their businesses around in a positive way. And so, on behalf of the Westmoreland County Chamber, I thank you for your volunteer service, and please pass that along to the rest of the volunteers. We're going to end it on a very positive note. I want to know, what is the most proud accomplishment you've had during your time with S.C.O.R.E?
It's a two-way street. I think I had a lot of satisfaction out of seeing these successes, and I do get satisfaction out of people that don't call me back. That helps them get into a direction that they like or is maybe more favorable to their talents. But I think seeing its success, like the French Express and Latrobe, is, I go in there and everybody says, "Hi, Bob," and to me, I'm part of their family, unpaid part of their business. They asked me if I want to wash dishes. I told them, no, I'm retired. But I will look at your air conditioning system because I do have some experience in that area.
Really?
So it's been rewarding to see businesses succeed and contributing and using the talents that God gave me.
Well, we appreciate that very much from the Westmoreland County Business Community. We've been talking with S.C.O.R.E of Westmoreland, Bob Tupper, S.C.O.R.E mentor. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about S.C.O.R.E, jump online and reach them at westmoreland.score.org or call them at 724-539-7505. Bob, thanks very much for being on the show. We appreciate it very much.
It's been my pleasure, Chad.
You've been listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. Join us next week, same time, same place, for another edition of Westmoreland Community Connections. Thanks for listening, everyone.
This has been Westmoreland Community Connections, a look at issues and happenings in and around Westmoreland County. Join us again next week on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB.
Westmoreland Community Connections is a presentation of the Westmoreland Drug and Alcohol Commission.